You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amber TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned. You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amber TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft. Draft, for in this paramount task, our draft, lies the power to liberate Ambazonia.
Mark the pages of history. December 2nd, 2019 became a landmark date. The nation of Ambazonia garnered recognition from Camera Municipal Bareri, setting the stage for an unprecedented partnership in a bold stride towards fostering deeper ties with the people and nation of Brazil. President Sacco steps into the limelight with the Brazilian press. At this critical time of war, history is poised to unfold once more. In the government's strategic plan, President Sacco will take the forefront of the diplomatic outreach program through media and press initiatives, sharing insights, visions, and the dawn of a new chapter in interviews that promise to captivate. This momentous affair will be streamed continuously on ABC Amber TV for our esteemed viewers. Be part of this movement. This is a crucial aspect of our media warfare. Join us in this crusade.
Good evening and welcome to Ambazonia This Week. Well, in the heart of every community lies a story of struggle, resilience, and the unyielding pursuit of justice. Tonight, as the amber hues of sunset fades into the backdrop of our bustling city, we find ourselves gathered here not just as viewers, but as bearers of hope, advocates of change. My name is Star Smart, stepping in for Top Paddy King, and you are tuned into your favorite TV debate show, Ambazonia This Week. In an era where voices are often silenced, we are here to amplify, to dissect the narratives that tug at the heartstrings of our collective consciences. Our focus tonight shifts towards an issue that not only beckons for our attention, but implores us to act, to extend our hands in solidarity across the divides of land and sea. As the night unfolds, we delve into the poignant tale of Claude, Francis Chenyi, and Nestor Langmi, the souls collectively known as the Kansas City Three. The story isn't just theirs alone. It mirrors the plight, the yearning for justice and freedom that resonates within each and every one of us. The movement Justice for the Kansas City Three and freedom for all Ambazonian prisoners of war isn't merely a campaign. It is a testament to the strength found in unity, in the belief that together we can forge a future whereby liberty isn't just a fragment of imagination, but a tangible reality for everyone. However, our journey tonight doesn't end here. Amidst the whispers of change and the echoes of determination, we find guidance, a beacon of light, in the profound insights of no other than Professor Lennox Hines. Tonight, we unravel the key recommendations unveiled by Professor Lennox Hines, a roadmap for action, a guide that promises not just to navigate us through the stormy seas of advocacy, but to anchor us in the haven of substantial progress. In a significant announcement that has captured the nation Ambazonia's attention, Professor Lennox Hines has, as we speak, laid out a comprehensive series of recommendations designed to address some of the most pressing issues facing our society. The professor's insights, drawn from years of research and expertise, offers not just a critique of current policies, but a clear path forward. As the public and policymakers alike look to understand and potentially implement these suggestions, we explore the substance of Hines' recommendations and the impacts that they could have on our collective future. But before we get into that, let me make a recap of Wednesday's exclusive discussion between our news director, Tapari King, and Professor Lennox Hines. In the aftermath of the chilling morning on November 28, 2022, when 3 Southern Cameroonian activists were arrested in the United States, a tidal wave of despair and anger swept through the Amazonian community. But amid these tumultuous storm of emotions, a glimmer of hope emerged with the involvement of Professor Lennox Hines, a staunch advocate for justice and a respected legal luminary. His decision to shine a light on the plight of Claude, Francis Chenyi, and Nestor Langmi not only offered solace to a beleaguered people, but also helped recast the need from one of alleged terrorism to a legitimate struggle for self-determination. While the televised debate between Mr. Tar, our esteemed news director, and Professor Lennox Hines was not just a mere exchange of viewpoints, but a historic dialogue that resonated deeply within the heart of every Ambazonian. Mr. Tapari King, with his adept moderation and insightful questions, laid the groundwork for an enriching discussion, paving the way for Professor Hines to elucidate the complex situation in southern Cameroon. Professor Hines, with his profound knowledge and passionate advocacy, drew the world's attention to the injustices faced by the Ambazonian people and the mischaracterization of their freedom fighters. This conversation transcended ordinary media discourse, transforming into a powerful beacon of hope for Ambazonians worldwide. It underscored the significance of international solidarity and the vital role of global media in illuminating truths, often shrouded in political shadows. Professor Hines, with his unwavering commitment to justice and human rights, elucidated the legal and ethical dimensions of the Southern Cameroonian struggle, providing not only an appraisal of the current state of affairs, but also a roadmap toward navigating the treacherous waters of international diplomacy and advocacy. While the debate shone a spotlight on the often overlooked narratives of people fighting for the right to self-determination, it highlighted the critical need for a fair, balanced, and compassionate examination of their plight, beyond the smear of terrorism and extremism, as has been tagged. Through Mr. Tar's probing questions and Professor Hines' articulate responses, the viewers were given a comprehensive understanding of the historical context, the present challenges, and the potential pathways to peace and autonomy for Southern Cameroons. Moreover, this televised discourse served as a clarion call to the Amazonian diaspora and supporters of human rights worldwide to inspiring a renewed vigor in the fight for justice and freedom. It also reaffirmed the importance of unity, resilience, and international support in confronting oppression and advocating for the rights of marginalized communities. So I invite you, my amazing viewers, to lean in, to listen, and to lend your voice as we embark on this voyage of understanding and empathy. Remember, it is not just a discourse, it is a call to arms, arms that hold, heal, and herald a new dawn for justice and freedom. Good evening once again and welcome to Amazonia This Week. Well, we have Barrister Timi Base and Barrister Fru John So, and I hear that Commander Fumbat will be joining us along the show. All right, good evening, gentlemen, and welcome to Amazonia This Week.
Thank you very much, Madam. Thank you for inviting us once.
Sure, Barrister John, so it's good to see you again. Barrister Team, it's good to see you once again on the show. We've talked about this even just yesterday about the discussion between Tap and King, but Barrister Frujon, so I'd like to, before we even get into the details of that video of the discussion, I'd like to get, what do you think about the discussion? How do you feel about this discussion between this person I'd like to describe as a legend, Professor Lennox Hines, and our news director, Mr. Tapati King?
I think it was a very lively discussion. I think we are very lucky to have Professor Hines to advise our lawyers defending the cancer tree on how to go about it, especially as they have been in pre-trial detention for more than a year in violation of their due process rights as enshrined in the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Therefore, that discussion between Director Paddy and Professor Hines was very timely. It was very enlightening, and Professor Hines gave us the strategy going forward. And I think that's what we'll be talking about today.
Yeah, very accurate, very accurate. When you say timely, I would certainly agree to that. Barrister Team, this is a discussion that we've already talked about prior, but we still want to expand on it because of its importance, and not just its importance, but how it also impacts the entire struggle and not just the case of the Kansas City 3. How do you feel talking about it today again?
I think, well, I've talked a lot about it, but I think going forward, though it is titled the Kansas 3, if properly handled by us, will not just be the Kansas 3, retaining the face of the whole revolution of the struggle.
Right.
Because if the letters were addressed to our Congress people, to our senators, to our House of Representatives, got there, they will not only order the liberation of, not only Kansas 3 will be liberated, we would have brought to the attention what we are going through, which is what I said and recommended that I should communicate with all these people here and abroad. We are advised to always include in one of our paragraphs and urge them to visit the Ambassador Genocide Library, because the Ambassador Genocide Library talks more than the Kansas 3. It deals with the entire struggle and what some human beings are made to go through without no fault of theirs.
Yes.
So I think the more we talk about it, the more the pressure we put on the community, on the international community, to address the issues that have led into the arrest of Kansas 3.
True. Speaking of the pressure, putting pressure in regards to this case, we have a lot to talk about that. But before we even into that, talking about even the template for the letter to the petition to the congressman, we'll get into all of that. But before we get there, this discussion between Mr., before I call him barrister, Mr. Tapadi King and Professor Lennox Hines. This very discussion is so extensive, but we cannot play everything here. There are bits and pieces of it that we've picked because we thought these parts are worth talking about again, that we would like you to see. So we get your reactions into these, and we're already seeing the government of Ambazonia proactively acting to all of these recommendations. But let's take a sneak peek at this excerpt from that very discussion between these two.
I want to focus on the unfairness, the double standards that we have seen being played out with respect to the Kansas City Three, and as it relates to the war in Gaza. Monies are being raised in the United States to support the Israeli military. Private citizens are sending money. But also showing how the duplicity in the United States, where people openly violate the U.S. laws dealing with foreign conflicts, foreign wars, and they're not prosecuted. In the 1970s, I served as an international expert traveling to Luanda, Angola. And there were mercenaries recruited in the United States. These are U.S. former Green Beret soldiers who either resigned, retired, were recruited by the CIA, whatever. But they were U.S. citizens, not U.S. military, U.S. citizens, recruited here in the United States and went abroad, landed in Kinshasa. At that time, in Kinshasa, there was Mobutu. And they were in Kinshasa, and they entered into military service to try to defeat the MPLA in Angola, in violation of, again, Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 960. Again, not a single individual was arrested, not a single individual was tried. Now, why are these three freedom fighters from Cameroon arrested and languishing in jail? And so I believe that we have to launch an international campaign.
Yeah.
Pressure has to be brought on the Biden administration. There should be thousands of letters written from the people and the organizations in Ambazonia. I will do my part in terms of the organizations that I may have some influence in the United States. But there has to be a groundswell if these young men are going to have any chance of vindication. Believe me, they will not have any chance of vindication if we keep quiet. We must raise our voices.
Yeah.
And raise our voices that justice be done.
All right, you just heard part of that excerpt from the discussions between Mr. Tapati King and Professor Lennox Hines. Just yesterday, we had a Barrister Ghana on the horizon examining the impact, the geopolitical impact, and the geopolitical tensions rather between China, the US, and Russia on Amazonia. Now, linking that to what Professor Hines has got to say, what would you say about the double standards in America, linking it with what Professor Hines just said? Professor Barrister John.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. That is exactly. Professor Hines has just hit the nail on what we are supposed to do, and his recommendations have started pouring. If you read anything, if you read on the forums, on our forums, social media, you see how people are, Americans, Ambazonians are reacting. They are writing to their congressmen, and they are writing to their senators. I've seen a couple of them on social media. I've also seen. Yes.
Yes.
Are you getting me?
That excerpt now. Yes, I can get you. I want to be sure you got the question I asked.
Yes.
Can you hear
What
me?
was the?
Okay, so yesterday on the horizon, we had Barrister Ghana, and he was examining the impact, the geopolitical tension between the US, China, and Russia, to be exact. Now, listening to what that excerpt of what Professor Lennox Hines said in regards to talking about the double standards of the US in America. Now, has linking that basically with Ambazonia, linking it to what Professor Hyde said, what would you say about the double standards? Because he also talked about that. And looking at the geopolitical tensions between these three power nations, what would you say about it?
Yes, even though I did not quite watch what Barrister Ghana said on Horizon, I didn't watch it. I don't have the fact. But on the question, I was trying to address the question of disparity in the treatment of the cancer tree by the Justice Department that is under the Biden administration. And I was trying to say that the Biden administration has probably overlooked or has not seen what is going on in Kansas City as it concerns the Kansas City tree. And I'm saying that our people have started reacting. At least the Ambazonians who are U.S. citizens have started reacting by writing to their congressmen, and through that, the Biden administration will get to know what is happening. And I want to add, if it was an omission, is that any U.S. citizen has a right to write to the Justice Department, the Attorney General of this country, of the United States, complaining about the disparate treatment of the cancer tree vis-a-vis the war that is raging on the ground. And on that complaint should be attached the genocide library, which is very updated, attached and sent to the Attorney General, and also protest to say that our people have been unjustly detained in Kansas City. They have not benefited from the due process of the law that the U.S. Constitution affords every American citizen when he runs afoul to the law. There is what they call pre-trial detention, and pre-trial detention is 6 months renewable once. When once you have somebody has stayed in prison in pre-trial detention for more than a year, it's a violation of the due process of the law, as enshrined in the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Therefore, I wanted to indicate that our people are already reacting, and they are now writing to their congressmen and to their senators. I saw part of that on copies of those such letters on social media. That's what I was trying to indicate, that our people are already reacting, and the geopolitical question has always existed. Look, whatever the geopolitical situation, we have nothing in common with China. We Ambazonians. We have nothing in common with China. We have nothing in common with the Russia. We are relying on the U.S. Government to ensure that the rights of Ambazonia are protected under international law, and the geopolitics of that should not affect Ambazonia, because Ambazonia is not a preserve of Russia or China or the United States, but the United States has a leverage because the Ambazonian people who are living and working in the United States, who are citizens of the United States, are benefiting from the United States, and therefore the United States has a geopolitical interest to be interested in what happens in Ambazonia, especially the Biden administration. I am not so sure they know so much about what is happening, because the Ambazonian, the genocide library, I'm not sure that they have even seen the genocide library. So I'm suggesting that genocide library should be circulated by our government in a letter of protest to the Attorney General of the United States, signed by one of us who is a citizen of the United States. That is what I'm saying.
All right. Thank you so much.
And in that way, the Attorney General of this country will have to know about that case, because I'm not so sure. I'm not given the number of cases that go in and out of the State Department, the Justice Department of the United States. I'm not so sure that the Cancer 3 case is known in the Justice Department. Even if it's known, it is not at the high level of the Justice Department to address this issue of disparity, because there is a war in Ukraine. The Ukrainians and Americans and everybody else, including some Ambazonian citizens, are contributing money for that war, for Ukrainian war. The American citizens are contributing money and sending to Israel to fight the Hamas in the Gaza Strip. So why is the case of Ambazonia different? So I think that in the days ahead, why the congressmen and the senators, because this is an election year, why they are receiving these letters, we should also address a letter officially to the Justice Department of this country, to the Attorney General, who I know is a very competent and very straightforward man. He will examine it and act.
All right, Barrister Mbesia, you started out talking about this. All right, Barrister Mbesia, you started talking about these extending way beyond just the Cancers 3. Adding to what Barrister John So said, I believe you have something to say to that.
Yes, I probably always have something to say, but this is the issue. I followed Barrister Gana's Horizon presentation, but when we deal with the Cancers 3, there are a number of issues that we must remember in mind. Remember, our guest told us of his book, The Illusion of Justice. He was talking about the American justice, which is an illusion. And then we must have in mind, when we communicate to anybody, senators, congress people, the fact that the Kansas 3 are American citizens. And being American citizens, they benefit from the full protection of American law. And as our guest told us, if we did not know, in the American justice system, as a matter of principle, detention, incarceration is an exception. It's not the normal course of events. So when you are before the court, the presumption that they are innocent. They should be let go, subject to that you return to here to be heard at the appropriate time. But what is happening to the Kansas 3 falls in the American context of how the minorities are treated here. Well, we don't doubt that the Kansas 3 are all black. I remember our guest told us how he liberated a black guy, a minority guy, who has spent 30 years in jail when he wrote this book. So, as Mr. Ansel says, and I think it's correct, if you assume that President Biden, with the Secretary of State for Justice, knows every single case going on in the Justice Department, it's just a lie. They don't follow those things. But when we highlight our issue, what we're trying to do in terms of the Kansas 3 is to put the justice system on trial as against our own victims. As they ask, what are they being incarcerated for? According to the court, which you can quote it from anybody when you write, they are being detained because they fear that they are a danger to the community. They are going to influence witnesses. The question any justice system will ask is, what danger do they pose to the community? And what community are they talking about? The community of Kansas, the community of somewhere in the United States where they live, or the community of Ngokutunje or Bui. And so it brings to light what the whole thing is about. And any man who is not yet, any official, not any man, any official who is involved in this thing, be it a politician or an expert in the Department of Justice, who ask this question, you will probably call the judge, call the court. Why are these people being held here for? What's their problem? Did you post bail for them before they refuse to pay? The answer will be no. Why? As you said, it was right. If I had been there and had that authority, the lawyer should have appealed against that nonsense of incarcerating them. Because I had no foundation, it was a breach of the law. But look at the bigger context. See, we have to be very, very careful what we say. What Mr. Ghana was analyzing essentially yesterday on Ukraine or what is happening in Israel and Gaza, they are a little bit different. Because we're not asking, even in the terms of Ambazonian fight, we're not asking the American government to give us money. We're not asking them to give us their soldiers, which money they are sending officially to Ukraine. They're sending tons of money there. They're sending tons of arms to Gaza, to Israel, to fight Gaza. Right or wrong, they are doing it. It's not for us to judge, but it is important for them to know that, you see, what we're doing is trying to put them, trying to win a public opinion case. Let the public see what injustice is being done to some people, essentially because they are the minority. I'm not sure that if those people were pure white guys, anybody would refuse them bed, talk less of been charging them. So we have a public relation thing to do. We have a public battle to fight with these people for our interest here and for our interest back home. Because if you see how Yaoundé is using the incarceration of the Kansas 3, which incarceration, they have no idea about even what happened, but they are making a political big deal in the system. It's allies who are American citizens, I guess, are making a fortune out of it by giving the false publicity. So what that guy did to us was to give us these guidelines. And I think it deals with the geopolitics of the situation. But the situation will arise, as I said, that when we write those letters and include the Ambazonian Genocide Library, it will take you into the geopolitics of the struggle. Because a United States Senator, United States representative, a human rights group, seeing those pictures, the first question they ask is, what is happening? What has happened to this victim? What has happened to these actions? Any action? No. Why no action? Why no action? By the international community, by the ICC, International Court of Justice. Why? That's just a normal thing. So by doing this, we're trying to kill several birds with one single stone. Again, as Mr. So say, I'm very encouraged with what is going on now. People have bought into this. People are writing. Again, write as many as you can. There's nothing even wrong writing to 365 representatives. There's nothing wrong with that. They will not say, well, your letter is coming from Maryland, whereas I'm a congressman from South Carolina. They will still receive them. It has a lot of meaning. And again, we have to make this fair, and we're making it fair. In addition to all what you and me are doing, our own department should write something officially again to re-emphasize the thing and address it to the State Department, the Department of Justice, to say this is something going on there. And then we'll tell them our opinion that we just think that is absolutely unfair justice. Why are they holding these people for? We can't even insinuate that they are just being here because they are black, because they are minority. They will make them, the politicians that escape from discrimination, to say, but no, they are not being discriminated. Let us find out what's going on. So when you accuse them publicly, nobody will come and tell you from your house, this is not coming. Nobody will come and arrest you for accusing the senator or the system. No. They will just feel that, well, some people are uncomfortable with what is going on. They will act, they will do something by virtue of your expression to influence popular opinion, especially in times of elections. We have these women there. There are also a lot of ladies in the Biden administration. See, the spokesperson, the government spokesperson, is a woman. They are all black women. So get to them, if we can, by writing emails, by Twitter, or any form of communication that can influence them. You lose nothing by writing. If you write 10 letters and they act on one, it is better than writing nothing and having no action at all. So again, in this social media age, we don't pay anything to write. They don't give us no penalties for writing, but the writing may tend to give us some benefits. So let us emphasize all these things. If we need anything at all, we should only need the guidance. What language do we put in our letters? What things do we put there? For example, we have insisted on the Ambassador General Library. So all we need, this is the American free society. We are free to do what we like. And unfortunately, Mr. Nestor was not there. He did not even end with America. The guy said that people all over the world, Ambazonians spread all over the world, you are free to write to the government of the United States, write to the president. It costs you nothing. Those things will land at the presidency. There's a department to handle those things there. Nobody will punish you for writing to the presidency. If you are in England, or if you are even in Boya, or you are in Cambe, if you have the access, you're right. That's how, in this developed world, particularly the United States, you influence policy, privately and publicly. Again, the Biden administration, even the Trump or American administration, they pretend to stand for human rights. They pretend to do justice. But let justice not just be pretended. It should not be an illusion. As the professor wrote in his book, it should be something rare. For justice is not just justice, it should be seen to be done. Do it, people should see it done, and people should see that it was justice. So we can take all these facets together, we produce a result. I'm sure if we had this opportunity 6 months back, we will not be where we are. We would have been in a different place. I think that's all I can add for now. Maybe some other issues will arise. Thank you.
Let me add.
Or Barrister Tim.
Let me add.
Go ahead,
I I watched Professor Hines' interview with Paddy King right to the end. What I did not hear, what I did not watch was Barrister Ghana's Horizon show about geopolitics, and that is why I tried to avoid that question, because I cannot speak on what I didn't know what he said about geopolitics. But I listened to the interview by Professor Hines, and like I said, it's a very good strategy for us to have fished out this eminent professor who knows a lot about Africa, who has done cases around the world, and he has opted to give us his services, and that interview was very far-reaching, and we should act immediately. And I'm also saying that that action that he called is already being taken, but I added one element. And like my senior colleague says, we are going, this department, the Department of Judicial Council, will be writing to the Attorney General of the United States, and accompanying that letter with the Genocide Library, so that they should know that they are treating us the way they are treating us because we are black people, and the others, Israel and Ukraine, are white, and that is where the disparity comes from. And if it is so, they should let us know that we don't have a right as citizens of the United States to benefit from the laws of this country. And a pre-trial detention, I repeat myself, a pre-trial detention is 6 months renewable only once, and a bail must be granted if the prosecution cannot go on after 1 year. Must be granted to the accused person, and when the prosecution will be ready, there will be the defendants will be called to answer. And to talk about how the cancer tree are a danger to their community. Their community here in the United States, how are they a danger? None of them has ever been convicted of a crime. None of them has ever been before the court in the United States. How are they a danger to their community? Okay, they have served 1 full year and more. We are in about 1 year, 6 months of pre-trial detention without bail. It's unheard of in the United States. It's in total violation of the due process of the law as enshrined in the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. That's what I was saying. Thank you.
All right, thank you to Barrister Frujon. So, well, despite of this conversation, a lot happened on Wednesday during that discussion, and it would not be complete if we did get a certain excerpt from this very important conversation between Mr. Tara and Professor Leonard. See if I could get that video right now, so I'll make our audience understand when we say letter, what are we talking about? Let's take a look at this video, and then I'll get back to you.
As a veteran in fighting for human rights and fighting for the freedom of people, you were the lawyer of Mandela. In conclusion, what will be your advice for the people of Southern Cameroons in general, home and abroad, facing this amount of injustice, not just within the United States, but what some of them would consider an international conspiracy against their historicity, legality, and the sovereignty of their rightfully independent nation? Please talk to us in conclusion.
Oppression breeds resistance. Historically, the people of the English-speaking Cameroon have tried all different avenues to reach a peaceful resolution. I think that they have to continue utilizing all avenues. But when peaceful attempts are met with violence, the people have only one recourse: to resist. And that is true and has been true of the history of the United States. If you look if you look at the history of the United States in terms of the United States struggles for independence from the United Kingdom, from England, George Washington, who is the father of the United States, in the 1770s, if you went to England, there'll be big posters of him, wanted dead or alive. He was considered to be a terrorist. If the British had captured him, they would string him up. But what did we call George Washington? A freedom fighter. Now, what's the difference between a terrorist and a freedom fighter? I had the strangest and most remarkable experience. In 1995, I'm sorry, 1990, Mandela was released from prison and toured the United States. I, as his lawyer, traveled with him through the 7 cities that he traveled in the United States. And he was asked to address a joint session of the Congress in Washington, D.C. And I was there. What was amazing to me was here was a man who was on the terrorist list of the United States of America. All of the members of the ANC were on the terrorist list. Yet you had the same members of Congress who passed the laws, making him an international outlaw. When he appeared before Congress, they were all fighting each other to try to hug and kiss him. That was the hypocrisy that I saw.
Yeah.
At one point, he is a terrorist, and the next time, he is the darling. Okay?
Yeah.
Another client of mine, Angela Davis, considered to be a terrorist back in the 70s. Now everyone wants Angela to be a speaker. Oh, they're hugging and kissing her. Oh, she's a celebrity. Difference between a freedom fighter and a terrorist. Do not allow, I'm speaking to the people of Ambazonia, do not allow the United States government to define your heroes. These 3 young men have put their lives on the line for you.
Yeah.
They are your heroes.
Yeah.
Don't let the United States, no matter what they say about them, define them. You define and embrace them.
That was
So there you
powerful.
have that episode. You could say that to Barrister. You could say that. Well, the part of that excerpt and what the legend here talked about was the advice he gave to Ambazonians as regards what they should do, which is this letter we've been talking about. And when I say our viewers might not understand what this letter is about, to break it down, it is part of the recommendations that Professor Lennox Hines gave, talking about writing these petitions to congressmen and women about the Kansas City Free. Now, this is basically what the letter is about. And here we have a proactive government of Ambazonia. When people think it is just mere words going out, no, Ambazonian's government, led by President Sacco, took that very actively, and already there has been several templates created for Ambazonians who are willing to make this petition to congressmen and women. And it is just interesting and it is very captivating to see how proactive the government of Ambazonia has been about the recommendations by Lennox Hines, Professor Lennox Hines. And you already started talking about it, barristers, and I'm sure you want to go further to talk about the intrigue cases of the letters, how you think it should be passed out and what it should be all about. So I'll just give you the floor to quickly talk about the letter and this petition to congressmen and women in the cause of trying to free the Kansas City Free. Barrister team, let me start with you, please.
Well, I think you should give the proud of place to my colleague. I've been so much on this forum that they need at least a difference in the face for a while. So give the proud of place to Barrister. So, because I've been here about 6 times.
Well,
so,
the content of that letter should highlight the arrest and detention of the Kansas City 3, and state the date that they were placed in pre-trial detention, and that thing that they have not had a day in court for more than a year, and that is in violation of their due process right. Second, that these people have been arrested and indicted in contravention to the practice that has been taking place in the United States. We cite the case of Ukraine and we cite the case of Israel, how the people of this country have been contributing to those conflicts. Why can we not contribute to self-defense our people on the ground? That letter should not contain any language that is uncalled for. It should be in plain language and asking the Justice Department of this country to intervene and see and tell us why the Southern Cameroonians are treated differently. Is it because we are blacks? We must highlight this issue of racism without calling it racism. Is it because they are blacks? Is it because they are from Southern Cameroon? Is it because the United States has a relation with La République de Cameroon that goes beyond the violation of human rights, that the right to self-determination has been suppressed, and the United States has acquiesced to that suppression? All those are the elements that will come in the letter. And I must say that I read one of the letters and it was quite inciting. It raised all these issues. And I think that the list you are just showing is what the government of the government of the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia has done. And you see the list of congressmen and women that you are showing right now, and that is what has happened, and it will continue because this is an election year. And in the last paragraph, the person writing to say, this issue is so important to my basic rights and freedoms, in such that if you don't do anything to address the issue, don't expect me to vote for you. I mean, it tells the congressman or that in this election year there are a group of Americans who are Africans that have been treated differently, and that the Justice Department should address this issue before the elections. So that is, in a nutshell, what that letter should show. And I must say, like I said, the letters that are coming out now are very explicit. I'd like to congratulate Mohammed Rechi, who is taking the lead on this, and she's doing very, very, very well.
Thank you so much. Part of the yes, thank you too. Part of the things you talked about was adding the genocide library link to the letter that was said.
Yes, and each of those letters should carry the genocide library. They should send that website to any congressman or any senator that is receiving that letter, so that he will open that website and see the genocide library and see how many of our people have been slaughtered by French Cameroon, and how we are doing everything to defend the population from being annihilated. And to do that, we are being persecuted in the land of the free, which is the United States.
All right, thank you. Barrister Team, I believe you agree with the Genocide Library link as well being put in this petition, and what would be your reasons for that?
Well, I've been singing the Genocide Library from day one. I'm sure I'm the first person who brought it up. But before I get there, what Madame Mildred, she did is a very good job. But don't forget Dr. Mongwa, who sent out a template out there. People should use those templates. I didn't just say Genocide Library. I said in your introduction, you should make a statement that whatever thing the cancer three are going through in the United States, whatever thing they are being accused of, is based on a genocide being committed back home on their people. Which genocide? They have the right to defend their brothers, their sisters, their parents back home. That's paragraph 1 or paragraph 2, right up there. And insist for details on what is happening, visit Ambassador Genocide Library .com, whatever, put it there. They will look at it. It is self-explanatory. The guy looks at it first before we begin to hear why you want these guys to be released. Before we begin to look why they are even accusing them for doing.
And so, very strategic.
If I were the one writing, that's how I would do my own. I will introduce it with the Genocide Library. Well, not even, I don't need to talk Ukraine, I don't even know to talk Gaza. I would simply say that in these issues, the American government and the American citizens have never relented from going back home to assist their own people. For example, Ukraine. For example, Israel. Just give you an example. Don't make them think that you're accusing them for anything. And then, in addition to these individuals, citizens of the United States from different countries, being allowed legally to go back home and assist their people in any form or shape, the American government, the federal government of this country, has always stood up for defense of human rights. They have stood for against illegality. That's why they have supported Ukraine. The language you put in this thing is very important. That's why they are supporting Ukraine. They are giving taxpayer money to Ukraine to defend themselves. And you don't see any difference. What is an invasion and what is an assimilation? If the United States can, as a government, do all this, if the United States can allow its citizens to do this without impunity, why should the people in Kansas be deprived of what they are doing? And it is clear there. We are not accusing them. They write there in the indictment that they were chairpersons of groups, legalized groups, raising money officially and sending the money out officially. So money laundering does not
Correct.
apply there. They raise the money officially in American banks, send it out officially to assist the people. And so, what is the crime of money laundering there? These
Correct.
people they were helping are the ones that are the victims' home. They didn't do this to anybody in the United States. So, how can they be a threat to witnesses, any
Yeah.
possible witnesses who are right away thousands of miles in Cameroon? That they are living in the United States in different cities. That would be a threat to them. And put one page is enough. As I said, we will write or we will communicate with these American people. It's not going to make a very lengthy story. In fact, if we were to be explaining the genocide library, it will take 10 pages. But that's thing enough. When they click the button, they open it, they understand many things. That's the goal. And then we conclude somewhere by saying that, look, we know that the Americans like justice, but justice should not always be done. It should be seen to be done. Incarcerating people for years who are just suspects when they are capable of posting bail is just unjust. That's mental torture. That's mental torture
Actually.
because you are trying. You can add this. It looks as if the system is trying to force them to plead guilty just for their own freedom. This will ring some sense. Imagine, I mean, American politicians, senators, and state they are educated people. Big lawyers, they are among them. They are very educated. They are not villagers who are farming somewhere in Bulu land there. They are very educated people. They understand these things. And they are used to these things. Again, back to the segment I put there. From that segment of what happened, according to our guest, to George Washington, he cited that example, and Mandela. It just reminds us that the journey to freedom is never cheap. It's always expensive. The Americans, I don't know where they have records of how many people died in the fight against the British to set them free. George Washington was just lucky to survive. In South Africa, I'm not sure you can count how many people died in the apartheid. Mandela was just lucky to survive. So this freedom is expensive in terms of money, it's expensive in terms of human life. And so that is a lesson to us.
Yeah.
As he says, don't let the American government or anybody define your heroes for you. And he says, don't abandon your own heroes. Support them. Because they are your own heroes. Tomorrow they'll be the heroes. I don't know what we'll do to them. We will get to boy. Whether we'll pull off some federal buildings and name them after them. Some roads, some high big streets, whatever. Something will be done in their honor. That's a fact. So I think that's what we should take home in our heads as we write our letters. We're just giving an outline. We're not going to write for everybody. But with this outline, you can add, you can subtract, you can do anything. But that should be the general approach. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you to Barrister Team. Well, we cannot indeed get enough of the Wednesday's interview because part of my take home, my highlight for that, based on what you're saying right now, is the part where Professor Lennox challenged the charges against these three, asking who are the terrorists and emphatically stating that it is certainly not these three who are indicted, but the dictator being supported by the United States that claims to support democracy and against totalitarianism, yet the leader of the war-torn Cameroons is someone who has usurped power for over 40 years. I like how he gave his own sense and would I say debunk the fact that they were already tagged terrorists in his own view. He called them certainly not to be because they're just people, like you have said, protecting their rights and defending their home. So in conclusion, I'd just like to get what can Ambazonia do as a collective to free not just this Kansas City's three, but also every other prisoners of war. In your own opinion, what would you say Ambazonia can do as a collective to free the Kansas City three and the other prisoners of war? I should throw this question over to you, Barrister John. So,
yes, let me tell you that there's a difference between the justice system in the United States and the justice system in La Republique of Cameroon. Our prisoners of war more than 2,500 to 3,000 that are still languishing in La Republique jails in Cameroon, the only way, as I said in previous shows, the only way is for us, when we negotiate with La Republique de Cameroon, we will ask for a level playing field such that our prisoners will be released first before we continue with the negotiation. We are not putting it as a precondition because the negotiations have said without precondition. But when you get to the table, for us to have a level playing field, there should be some exchange of prisoners of war. It happens in every war. It happens in every war. Release our people, and among those people that you may be releasing, some of them may join us here on the negotiating table. So release our people first, so that we can talk from the same level playing field. You can the difference between them and the Kansas City 3 is that we are talking about a country where the rule of law is respected by everybody from top to bottom. That's the United States. Nobody is above the law in this country that we live in. And this country has also put in their constitution the rights of everybody. And that is mostly enshrined in the 14th Amendment. And that 14th Amendment, you have the due process of the law. And due process of the law means everybody who comes before the law, the court, is treated equally as the others. And in the case of pre-trial detention, because there's no trial yet, these people have never had a date of trial assigned to them. So it's more than a year today. They have been sitting in jail for almost, it will soon be 18 months. It has never happened in the United States. Why can they not put them on bail? Have they told you that they are incapable of paying their bail bonds? You should be put on bail. Now that you have already violated their due process law, they are entitled to liberation. And that is why, of course, I'm not a member of the bar here, and I think my senior colleague is not. We would have, by now, they would have filed a motion to dismiss this matter based on the violation of the due process of the law. But the lawyers handling it, they know why they are not doing it. So I cannot second guess them. But what I'm saying is that their rights have been violated. They have been sitting in pre-trial detention for more than a year as prescribed by the law. 6 months renewable once. At least they don't have a date to appear in court that we know of. No. And we are now in April of 2024. People who were arrested in November 2022. There's something wrong here. That's why I also said that we the Judicial Council, I'm proposing to the chair that we put up a letter to the Attorney General of this country and copying him, giving him the same genocide library, and asking why our people are being treated differently from others when they are U.S. citizens like everybody else. So, Madam, to conclude about your question, the prisoners of war that La Republique is keeping are different from the Kansas City 3. So we have to treat one and treat the other as it comes.
Barsafru?
Yes.
Barsafru, can you hear me? Okay, so
I can hear you.
You don't think the Kansas City 3 case, if all of these petitions are made and actions are taken, because definitely when these cases look into, certainly they would look deeper into the root cause of these 3 being indicted, and it will certainly get to the root, which is the war in the Cameroons, how it all started and everything, you think it would not impact the prisoners of war in the Cameroons?
Of course, it will impact, and that will bring us to the end of the war. The end result will be the end of the war. And at the end of the war, the parties must sit down and negotiate.
Negotiation.
Yes, and the way La Republic functions, the way they have locked up our people and they have passed them through their military tribunals, it's very repressive. It's not as the free country that we're living in. That's a distinction I'm making. But when we fight and release the Kansas City 3, that repercussion will be carried forward to the war on the ground, and for the system, for powerful nations like the United States will have to fight to bring about the end of the war. That's why the introduction of the Genocide Library is so important, so that you should see exactly what has happened to the English-speaking people of the southern to the southern Cameroons and Ambazonian citizens, slaughtered by La République du Cameroon for no good reason, and they are all civilians. That would be that impact. I'm telling you that the Genocide Library will create an impact on these men of the law, and they will react, and they will start digging into why did this happen, and of course that will lead to the release of our other prisoners during the negotiating process or before. It will depend on how the case evolves. That's why I make the distinction between the Kansas City 3, because they are in a free world, and their rights have been violated by the free world, as opposed to a dictatorial regime of the La République du Cameroun that has held our people for years now. Some are there for more than 7-8 years, no trial.
Well understood, Barrister Fru. Would you have any last things to say about these? It's certainly given hope, but then would you have anything to say, any last words to say about this particular justice for the Kansas City 3 this evening before we move on to the rest of the discuss for tonight, Barrister Tim?
If I got your question right,
Oh,
if I got you right, your question was, how can this petition influence the other prisoners of war?
yeah. Prisoners of war,
Was that a
yeah.
question? This is
Yes,
my take
certainly.
about it. This is my take and my very personal take. You see, the system in Cameroon does not operate as an independent system. All the people in Bamenda, all the people in Garawa can go down and march through the streets. That would not move them. That would not
Yep.
move them by an inch. They don't care about that. They care more when their sponsors abroad talk to them. For example, they care more when Israel talks to them. Why? Because the so-called B, they are contracted to deal with the B. They are trained by Israel. They care more when France talks to them. They care more when the United States talks to them. Because the United States is part of the International Monetary Fund, then part of the World Bank, where they get money. So, how we can influence, how we can use this process to influence the release or the issue of our international, other human rights or war people detained unconstitutionally and illegally. Now, if I were writing my own petition, which I think I would write, to the United States, I would include in that genocide library as a note that most of this genocide, which you see here present, is committed by the B, and the B are trained by the Israelis. Israel is an important military ally, intelligent ally with the United States. No nation, no human being, no family wants to bear on their plate more than what they can bear. Israel, for example, has its plate full right now with their Gaza and whatever thing they're going through. So for you to accuse them of things like that puts them on the warning sign. Sure, they will call Mr. Paul Biya or whoever to be there. They'll be there. So people are being accused of being responsible for this. You can be prosecuted. You can end the contract. If you're writing in France, if you're in France, contacting the French, tell them, France, you are partly responsible for these things. Because you determine, right, like or not, you determine Cameroon foreign policy and military policy. If you're in Nigeria, don't forget to mention that the Nigerian federal government bears full or part responsibility for what is going on there. For they have sent our people, caught them illegally, sent them without any legal means to be tried, and have been tried and sentenced to death over there, to life. So when you make these connections, that will affect the allies who can possibly influence the Cameroon government. As to what happens when we are on the discussion table is a completely different story. But this will push even the Americans, this will push the French, this will push whoever sees those things to tell Yaoundé, go to the conference table and end this battle. And when we get there, it will not just be a question of releasing people, 200, 10,000, whatever number in Yaoundé, or wherever they are, would include reparation, but we will not get there. And if we push very, very hard from this angle, Washington will talk to them, Paris will talk to them. They will try to solve the problem in their own way. For example, by declaring some amnesty and say, well, let everybody go away like they send away Aguambala and the rest. For why? So that is how we can influence them. That is the way we can do it, because the allies have more power than ordinary citizens in Cameroon. They don't care about anybody there. Even if you're a senator or you are whatever, they will never receive you anyway. They don't care about their politician. Tell them, if you don't like it, you can go to hell. And so that's how we can get these people involved. Indigenous Child Library will say, well, we hear these people committing these crimes are the bees, trained by Israel. Israel, Mr. President of the United States, those are your allies. You give them money, you give them arms, you give them the technology, and this is what they are doing to people around there. That thing will not go unnoticed. Sure, when they call Mr. Netanyahu, the Prime Minister, they will not just accept, but you know that they know what is going on. He knows that they know what is going on. You better focus himself on his Gaza thing than fighting a stupid war by sending his people to Cameroon. And as a matter of fact, Cameroon has even violated the very treatment, that the very treaty that allowed them to train their bee. The bee was supposed to be for the presidential bodyguards. They are not supposed to be trained and sent to the camps in Batibo, sent to the camp in Gap, sent to the camps in everywhere and call them BB. No. They are a specialized force. That's why they kill people, because they don't even know. All what they know, they are trained to do is to kill people who are coming to attack the presidency. So if we point out these things like this, technically, they might help. That's why I said that's my own approach. But it could help if we adopt that approach. Thank you.
Thank you to Barrister Tim. That is a very strategic input there. Talking about the letters, the petition, that is a very strategic input. And like you said, it will certainly go a long way. Well, in general, the entire discussion from Wednesday is a certain plus. It is a huge endorsement for Amazonia, and we'll say that repeatedly. Before we get into the rest of the reports, let's go for this quick break, and then we get over to the other studio where Onye has an overview of the week for us.
marked the pages of history. December 2nd, 2019 became a landmark date. The nation of Ambazonia garnered recognition from Camara Municipal Barreri, setting the stage for an unprecedented partnership in a bold stride towards fostering deeper ties with the people and nation of Brazil. President Sacco steps into the limelight with the Brazilian press. At this critical time of war, history is poised to unfold once more. In the government's strategic plan, President Sacco will take the forefront of the diplomatic outreach program through media and press initiatives, sharing insights, visions, and the dawn of a new chapter in interviews that promise to captivate. This momentous affair will be streamed continuously on ABC Amba TV for our esteemed viewers. Be part of this movement. This is a crucial aspect of our media warfare. Join us in this crusade. Mark the pages of history. December 2nd, 2019 became a landmark date. The nation of Ambazonia garnered recognition from Camara Municipal Barreri, setting the stage for an unprecedented partnership in a bold stride towards fostering deeper ties with the people and nation of Brazil. President Sacco steps into the limelight with the Brazilian press. At this critical time of war, history is poised to unfold once more. In the government's strategic plan, President Sacco will take the forefront of the diplomatic outreach program through media and press initiatives, sharing insights, visions, and the dawn of a new chapter in interviews that promise to captivate. This momentous affair will be streamed continuously on ABC Amba TV for our esteemed viewers. Be part of this movement. This is a crucial aspect of our media warfare. Join us in this crusade.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft. Draft, for in this paramount task, our draft lies the power to liberate Amazonia. The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft. Draft, for in this paramount task, our draft lies the power to liberate Amazonia. The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft, for in this paramount task, our draft, lies the power to liberate Amazonia. The number one most important thing for every Amazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft, for in this paramount task, our draft, lies the power to liberate Amazonia. The number one most important thing for every Amazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft, for in this paramount task, our draft, lies the power to liberate Amazonia. The number one most important thing for every Amazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft, for in this paramount task, our draft, lies the power to liberate Amazonia. The number one most important thing for every Amazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft, for in this paramount task, our draft, lies the power to liberate Amazonia.
Yeah, I want to believe that those who are watching can hear me. We're trying to get Commander Fombat because he would have to react to some reports that are coming in here, and also to see if they meet you with the people of Amazonia, if it is possible to have that stream. I need to get confirmation from the chief of staff. But you've heard all what the barristers have said concerning the importance for us to, I'm sure those who do not know the website for the congressmen, I'm sure you are watching us on the screen right now. You simply have to go to congress.com in the United States of America and probably identify the congressmen in your precise state. we just scrolling down. The platform is user friendly. Anyone can go there and write to them. You may proactively also want to write to any other Congress person you think you noticed from the recommendations that were made by Professor Hines during our conversation on Wednesday. It is possible for you to send in petitions internationally. I saw from Commander Fombat from the UK that he has sent in petitions through human rights organizations. We need to get national pressure, international pressure. It is superlatively imperative for every Ambazonian everywhere in the world to take this seriously. If you have gotten clearly, you realize from what Barrister Mbese has said there, and Barrister Fru, you would agree with us that these petitions will not only impact um, the release of these individuals. It is somewhat a diplomatic strategy that involves our collective input. This is not just diplomacy being done by President Sako. Your involvement and participation, as I bring back our Uncle Lady Star Smart to continue with the conversation this evening, your involvement and participation in this will also facilitate the work we're doing. The end is not to fight a war internally. We don't want to fight a war everlasting. We want to fight and we want to stop at a particular point. And one way to stop it would be to ensure that we have our part to play. Where you have to make contributions, financial donations, do. Where it is meant for you to make a petition, do it. Ma Mildred has begun a Twitter warfare. I'm part of that team. We want hundreds. We just have a few tens of Ambazonians subscribed to that now. We want tens and tens and tens of Ambazonians. We're all using mobile platforms, mobile phones. We all chatting, and instead of wasting our time, resources, our cell phones are weapons. Our mobile platforms, our virtual accounts on Facebook and on YouTube are weapons. We have to get aggressive on this media warfare today, and it is a collective warfare. Commander Fomba, thank you very much. I'm not the one anchoring this program. Thank you for opting to join us. Smart will cue in from here, but I just thought that it was imperative for me to emphasize the need for every Ambazonian to be a tutor. You don't need a specific, a particular certificate to be a tutor warrior. All you need is an account. Perhaps you don't even know what to type. Just copy and paste and share what the president will be sharing, what we will all be sharing. And when you send out your petitions, it is important for you to indicate so that it inspires somebody to know that sending is just an email or a click away. Sending a petition out, making a post is a click away that we think everybody would have to do it. We're asking many more soldiers, all Ambazonians, you. Remember, I want to tell you something. In 2016, we beat Cameroon from their game through the social media. We did not have the Amber Boys. We did not have weapons. All we had was our social media platforms. And through the social media, we have changed the trajectory. History, it will go down history that the never again generation, which is our generation, changed the course and the effect of things of time in our day by taking advantage of the media platform. Social media is a powerful tool. I can tell you today with no fear of contradiction, and that's why ABC is very important. The social media warfare or the social media weapon is even stronger than even the sticks and the granates and whatever our boys have on the ground. I can tell you right now that if they eliminate the social media today, France and Cameroon, they are capable of cutting connection from Amazonia and bombing and killing every single soul in Ambazonia. In fact, when President Biya switched off internet in 2017, the clear objective was to escalate the genocide in Amazonia. And reports have it that was the highest time that a lot of Amazonians have simply disappeared. You don't want that to happen again ever in our history, where our people are being disappeared. If the activists in the diaspora, if those who had the ability, at the time I was in La République du Cameroun, not in Amazonia, so I had an opportunity to use internet. Those who had that opportunity, if they did not act right now, we would have been in a place today that is an apology for us. So this is an opportunity for you who is not General Sagon or FM Sagon, for you who is not Talk and Do or Wanya, and you are not in any of the deep rainforest, sleeping and going for days without even a meal. Your weapon is the social media. You must take it seriously now. Thank you very much, Smart, for having me briefly to make this comment. You can continue with your report. Thank you.
So,
Back to you, sirs. It's nice to have you back, to have you join us, rather, Commander Fumbat. It's nice to have you join us. But then, like I said, before we even get to the overview, we'll take a quick look at this report of concern. Pastor Ambe, a man whom a lot has considered already as an enabler, pastoring a church in Douala, has been very vocal on social media. Initially, a lot of people thought he was some sort of audacious freedom fighter, but then his hypocrisy is now clear for all to see. He has made recent utterances that are contradicting his previous statements about the colonial government and administration. It is clear to Amazonians that Pastor Ambe is out for a campaign not to discourage Amazonians or to water down their faith in believing that they can become a free nation, especially not right now. But Pastor Ambe has been strategically positioned to cause constant divide within the Southern Cameroon's community. And one evidence of these sad tactics can be seen in this video, which I'd like you to react to right after.
Brother. The truth is, I made a statement once. I said the Anglophone crisis is the whole nation against the Northwest. Take it from my mouth.
Thank you, Apostle. Thank you, man.
This is what I said. I wrote it on my social media handle. I said the Anglophone crisis is all the nation against the Northwest. As a matter of fact, it should be tagged a Northwest crisis.
Fact.
It's not Anglophone crisis. It's Northwest crisis. And this should sink deep. And until we accept these realities, we're going to be beating the air. Song said something. If you know you are in danger, you're no more in danger. If you don't know you are in danger, that's when you are in danger. The earlier we know that the Anglophone crisis is the 9 regions of this country against one region called the Northwest region, the better. As the days are going by, subsequently we will change the name from the Anglophone crisis to the Northwest crisis. Coming back to the Anglophone crisis, we have killed more Anglophones ourselves than what the military has done in the name of Black Leg. We are not the first persons to have such a revolution. Go and ask the people of Bougainville who wanted to break out of Papua and New Guinea. They had people who did not buy their ideology, but because we came from the same root, I won't kill you. If you want to convince me that what you are doing is correct, convince me to believe you. Don't kill me to believe you. We should be learning how to convince men to join us. Don't killing men in order to cause them to join us. That is not democracy. That is not, it is fear intimidation. It is but certain that not everyone will buy your philosophy. It's certain. Some people may only come to the consciousness after you have gained the independence or gained the victory.
All right, this is a very, very diameter of concern that I think not just you, but our news director would also like to react to. But let's hear from our barristers. And Fumba just joining in, I think you should start off with this part of the conversation, listening to what he says. He also talked about the ARFs being the ones who even kill more than the La République du Cameroon. That statement is something that's quite a shocker to hear from somebody who is supposed, looking at what he has said in previous times and him coming to say this now. Commander Fumba, I would like to hear your thoughts about that.
Thank you, thank you. Can you hear me?
Absolutely, loud and clear.
It is a privilege sharing this platform with my elders. I can see them. They have been so enthusiastic, encouraging, especially to those of us who like to watch ABC and will follow ABC momentarily. Thank you, Star Smart, for having me on this show and asking my opinion on what I think about these imposters, like the so-called pastor Ambe. You know, these are the people who are feeding fat from the regime. You see how fat it is? He has become, you see how fat, how large his tummy is? He is preaching the language of the oppressor. Those are the people who mingle among us and they give them platform on TVs to sing praises to the regime, to preach the agenda from Yaoundé. These type of people, they are never threatened by the military or threatened by Bia's regime. No. Because the agenda that has been put to him to preach, and that is what he's doing exactly, causing more mayhem and confusion. Pastor Ambe, you know, these are the type of individuals. Look, if you ask him a question, Pastor Ambe, is the church united? There is no pastor that can tell you that, yes, the church is united. We are in a situation where we are fighting for a survivor. And we want us to, there are some things I don't want to pronounce over this TV, over this channel. But let Pastor Ambe know that his agenda that he's running with will take him nowhere. Ambazonians are determined, and our determination is seen from the position of our resilience. There is nothing that can change our direction. Nothing can divert us. No amount of this type of talks can discourage us. Those who are determined, and will take it and swim with it right to the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you, too. That is a good aspect. That's a good take home, and that is the solace Amazonians have. But none of these conclusions would detract the focus of Ambazonia. Barrister Team and Barrister John Frew, I believe you have something to say in regards to that video. I mean, it's striking that you're hearing stuff like La République hasn't killed as much as Amazonians have killed themselves. Looking at all the massacres, that seems to be inaccurate to me. Barrister Team. Barrister Team, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, okay. I thought Fumba was still talking. Thank you for having us back once more. But before I address the issue of so-called Pastor Ambe, let me say something again on this petition writing, which we forgot to emphasize. For those of us in the United States, if you write a petition, I assume you have written a petition to your Congress people, senators included. But I would also advise that drop each of you, everybody in the United States, drop part of your petition to the President of the United States. Just a copy. So when you write a senator, drop a copy to the President. That's one copy. Drop another one to the Justice Department. The same content. So those in the United States, don't just write to your senators and Congress people and no, include the President, include the Justice Department.
The Attorney General.
Well, the Justice Department will go to them. Doesn't matter. It goes to the Justice Department, where I put it, Attorney General, whatever the case, it goes to the Justice Department. So anyway, make sure a copy goes that way. Call it Attorney General or Justice Department. A copy goes to the Presidency. And then over to Mr. Fombat. Sorry, not Fombat. Mr. Pastor who?
Ambe. Pastor Ambe.
Pastor Ambe. Watching Ambe, I have the impression that he's either totally ignorant of the
Okay.
facts and the history of Ambazonia, or he just outright a sellout. And I wish he's watching me. From seeing him, from his physical structure, he was probably born after 1961. So he's not a very old man. If you read the history, I not read enough. And so back to the history. Mr. Ambe, I guess, his name sounds like a baffled name, comes from Mezam. It looks like. But wherever he comes from, you should go back to the archives. We have said this many times before. Southern Cameroon and later on West Cameroon was a buoyant democracy. What is a democracy? It was a place of arguments. People argued on points, agreed and disagreed. Stretching from Victoria to Nkambe, which is today Nonga Mantum, to whom, because there was no Buimi at the time, they argued on points. And when they came together and disagreed, how would Mr. Ambe qualify the disagreement with somebody arguing from Fako, Victoria at the time, and disagreeing with somebody from Wom, or somebody arguing from Manfe and disagreeing with somebody from DOP? So what would that be to Mr. Ambe? What would we call that guy in DOP? Was he a Northwesterner? Was he a Southwesterner? He was just a Southern Cameroonian. So from his language of saying 10 regions, 9 other regions, he speaks the language of the colonizer. Because until La Republique divided us into first provinces, changed the 5 provinces and included us into 2, divided us into 2, became Northwest and Southwest, and that made that 7 provinces. Later on, they broke the whole north into 3 provinces or regions, and they became 3 different regions. What was the essence of the breakdown of Ambazonia, British Southern Cameroon? It was to divide and rule them in 1972. That was a huge. What was the essence of the division of the 3 northern regions into 3 by Paul Biya, 1984-85, I guess, after the coup? It was to divide and break the backbone of the Northeast, to divide them and rule. And that's the strategy Yaoundé has used. And so to say it is a Bamenda fight, it's just like it doesn't understand. When we said we voted, for example, in the plebiscite to join La Republique, who count the vote by the divisions. So what we say of Manfe, for example, I'm giving an example, who did not vote to join La Republique, what region did he become? So Mr. Ambe is speaking the language of the colonizer, and he is so dishonest. If Mr. Ambe has any records of what has gone on since 2016, the killings, yes, the Ambas have killed Ambas, but overall, if 1,000 people have been killed, they put it 1,000, 950 were killed by Republic du Cameroon, not by Amba. So it's just dead wrong. He's trying to look for shelter. They escape from blaming his paymaster general. He doesn't want to shift any blame on Yaoundé. And he calls it a Northwest battle. Again, I say he doesn't know the history. If he had known the history, he would have known that today, from the little that we could get as a component, the only thing that has brought us together since they came in and broke us into pieces has been 2 things. We had what they call the examination board, the 4th examination board for all Anglophones, which constituted the Northwest and Southwest. Nobody quarreled with that. And they gave us only 1. So what was that? What was the Ambe? So that UCA board, that examination board that became UCA board and housed in Boya was the Southwest thing, because it was housed in Boya. who fought for something again. One entity, Ambazonians, especially under CAM, who fought for an Anglophone university, an Anglo-Saxon university. All of us fought for it. People from Cambe, whom everywhere, nowhere and southwest you call them, joined forces to fight for it. And they gave us only one, the Anglo-Saxon University in Boya. So because that thing was housed in Boya, it became the property of the Southwest. Never. And so Mr. Ambe is just buffooning, I'm sorry to say, if you can hear me, you should not say that I'm insulting him. I'm just insulting his ideas. And I would encourage him to go and read the history of Ambazonia. If he doesn't want to call Ambazonia, let him go and read the history of British Southern Cameroon and see if he has time and if he can read. Let him go to the Manfei Conference, 1959, where the Norway and Southwest, call them today, Anglophones, Southern Cameroonians, stood on one platform until Yaoundé, Frontier, go to Yaoundé and go to United Nations and tell them this is what we want. It was not an issue of Northwest, Southwest. Never was it a Northwest, Southwest issue. Talk less of a region, was of a province. So Pastor Ombe does not know anything about the history of British Southern Cameroon, about the history of Amazonia. And so you better keep quiet. Nobody is forcing him. He said nobody is forcing anybody. Nobody has forced Mr. Ambe to join the liberation struggle. We're having ideas. He's living in Yaoundé there, where he was talking on Equinox or something. Nobody has forced him to join us. So what is all this ranting about people being forced? What is all this ranting about people being forced? I've not seen anybody from Kambe, from Wum, from Victoria, from Kumba, anywhere being forced to become an Amba. Those people who live in Kumba, Bamenda, wherever in Amazonia, and chose to go to Yaoundé, they moved to Yaoundé. No Amba stood on the road and prevented them from going to Yaoundé. Also, Mr. Ambe is trying to paint us with a stupid blush. The fact that ADF has done what they have done in Momo, they have done all types of evil. But to make the summary, they have not killed as many people in the whole of Momo. I mean, the ADF, they have not killed as many people in Momo, in Momo, as Larupli has done. So where is Mr. Ambe coming from with his own history? So you probably need to keep quiet and learn if he needs to learn something. Or just stay quiet. He's living in Douala. Let him run his church. We don't have any issues with his church yet. If he has to come to Amazonia for anything's sake, you first of all have to pull that nonsense out of his head. That the fight has become what you call the Northwest regional fight. He doesn't want to call Northwest. If you what's he talking about Northwest region? So these people who are fighting in Banso, in Kumbo, the ones who are dying in Du and Kambe, and the ones who are being infiltrated in Momo, are they not part of the Northwest? So what will he say about that? So to me, that is bullshit. Mr. Ambe needs to go to his history. In this thing, freedom of speech, but you're not forced to speak. But don't go out and make comments beyond your own bounds. So, Pastor Ambe, if you're a true pastor, go and pray to your God to redeem you. Thank you. Over to you.
All right, Barrister T. Barrister Fru, I'm sure you may have your own thoughts about what he said. He probably, according to Barrister T, might be ignorant. You think it is ignorance, or you think there's more to it?
I think it's greed and ignorance.
Can you hear me? Barrister Fru, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. We have very limited time. The president will be The president will be speaking in a few minutes. So you're gonna make this, and we'll take a brief. I think we're gonna take just a brief report there after your comment, Barrister Fru. Mr. Sma will introduce the overview. It's just about 5 minutes. We'll make some comments so that before the president start addressing the people of Momo, we will be able to stream it to those at the home front. We're going to intercept this program to stream it at the home front. So thank you very much. I just wanted to make that indication. Please go ahead.
Okay.
You people still have just to make a report. Go
The so-called Pastor Ambe, I know him personally when I was in Douala. He had even lived in my house as a tenant. He is benefiting from the vulnerability of our people that have been displaced from the two regions, from the two regions of the southern Cameroon, the southern zone and the northern zone, who happen to find themselves in Douala as IDPs. The church that he's running, he's feeling fat from our people. Now, as a lawyer, I want to go fact by fact. Pastor Ambe, how many divisions in the Northwest are fighting this war? And how many in the southern, what you call the Southwest, are also fighting? In the northern zone, or the Northwest, as you call it, you have Ngokutunya, you have Bue, you have Donga Manto, and to a lesser extent, Meza. Momo is not fighting. In the southern zone, you have Manu fighting, you have Meme fighting, you have Ndian fighting. And parts of Paco are doing what they have to do to survive. What do you call that? How can you buy the narrative of La République du Cameroun, divide and rule, and say, oh, the whole trouble of the Anglophone crisis are caused by Northwesterners? You have also been bought by La République. That's why you look so fat. When I knew you were not this fat. You are not living well, and you are living in Douala, and your church is in Douala, and the media prime that you are on is in Douala. You are giving us the narrative of the occupier, like my colleague says, the La République du Cameroun. The same divide and rule that is instituted in the days gone by. Pastor Ambe, you have no moral duty or legal duty to talk about the war in the southern Cameroons, because you are not fighting. You are a propagandist for La République du Cameroun. I have listened to you for a very long time. You have never been clear, and you have now landed. You now think that the Northwesterners, as you call it, as you address it, are the ones fighting the other 9 provinces, 9 regions. Are you by that saying the southern zone, the Southwesterners are not in this fight? You have not known, you have not read anything about this fight. You don't even know what is happening, Mr. Ambe. You call yourself a pastor. Where were you trained as a pastor? Because you can speak good English and you can intimidate people with their Bible quotations. I know you. You cannot talk for the Southern Cameroons. You cannot talk for Anglophones. And you are being promoted by a television station that is tied to La République du Cameroun, called Media Prime. You join all kinds of conspiracy theories and come and deliver it on a television station in La République du Cameroun. And you are benefiting from the largesse of the same English people that you are condemning today. Are you telling us that you are Christians in Douala? Is there any Francophone in your church? But you are not eating part. You left my house because you could not pay rent. You can now pay rent. You can now talk about the Northwest and the Southwest. I mean, I'm using a language because I don't know any place called the Northwest or Southwest. I know the Southern Cameroon and Ambazonia. that the Northwest is fighting all of Cameroon, including the Southwest, then how come for 8 years they have not been able to defeat La Republic has not been able to win this war? Is it because of only the Northwest? You have not heard what happened in Libya until conspiracy theories brought down the Red Dragons. They were all in the Southwest. I'm using Southwest, but I'm using a language. Libya today, you cannot, those your partners, La Republic Cameroon soldiers, cannot land in Libya and come out free. They are in Nenji, but they are hiding. They are in their houses. They don't go out. Let them go out and operate and see how they will not be met face fire for fire. In Manu, you don't even know what is happening in Manu. You sitting in Douala, you don't even know what is happening in Manu. You're only interested in preaching in church and coming and sitting on media prime and vomiting rubbish about this revolution. You don't know anything about this revolution, and I would suggest that you shut up. You know me very well. I can talk to you anywhere, anyhow. I'm tired of listening. I'm tired of listening to this so-called Pastor Ambe. You are not a pastor. You are an opportunist, a preacher without training. Because if you were trained, you would have at least learned something about the war that is raging in the part of the country where you were born. How many people are fighting from Bafut? Bafut has since been taken over by La Republic of Cameroon, and you are from Bafut, and you claim that is the Northwest against the others. I can tell you that people in Bafut are not fighting, but people in Mafe, people in Litialem, people in Konye and in Bonge are fighting. And what is this man talking about? How many times have they blocked the highway in the Northwest? But they have blocked the highway from Boya to Kumba because of the fight between Amazonian State Army and La Republic Cameroon forces on that highway going to Kumba. Is that in Bamenda? Is that in the Northwest?
Thank you very much, Pastor. We're gonna have a show. Yeah. We're gonna have a show that will actually process everything that he is saying. Before I hand over the mic to you, Stasma, thank you for giving us this opportunity to intercept. Officials of the Meet the People tour in Momo County are already joining the Zoom link, and I would believe that the county officials are already talking. We're going to intercept this show once the president comes up, because the people would have to listen to whatever the president will be saying to Momo County. Is an extension to what he's definitely going to be saying to Ambazonia.
Thank you, Mr. Ta. Thank you. That's what I was about to say. Thank you to Barrister for understand your frustration at somebody giving inaccurate facts on public television, things that are not accurate. It's really worth the anger. Well, looking at what we have on the ground, speaking of the president tour, it is something that is happening today for the Midland Zone, and today is for Momo. As is the tradition of the president, he is once again on the tour, a president who has his ears on the ground and keen to know what is happening, as well as to attend to the grievances of Amazonians on the ground. Part of his agenda for this tour is to mobilize towards the federal government draft as well. But before we join the president, as we heard from our news director, officials already joining in, before we join them there, let's get this overview of the news we had this week from Chenyi Opala.
Here is an overview of what made the news this week in southern Cameroon's Amazonia. This week's edition of Undaunted ABC Amber News brought a compelling mix of distress, courage, and a renewed sense of hope and determination to the forefront of southern Cameroon's ongoing struggle. Despite the engulfing shadows of pain and neglect that have loomed over the Amazonian people since before the outbreak of what many describe as a senseless conflict, rays of hope continues to pierce through thanks to the relentless effort of those standing firm in the fight for freedom and justice. The undeterred spirit of Ambazonian State Army and its dedicated generals was palpable, marking successful endeavors that serve as a testament to their commitment towards securing a future their people rightly deserve. Amongst the most poignant of narratives this week was the unwavering stance of Professor Lennox, who fiercely defended the Ambazonian cause by challenging the charges against the Kansas City Three, that is, Claude, Francis, Chenyi, Nestor, Langmi, thereby spotlighting the glaring irony of a democratic ally supporting an autocratic regime that has clung to power for over 4 decades. Professor Lennox's pointed question, that is, who are the terrorists, echoes amidst the turmoil, seeking to redirect focus onto the real perpetrators of oppression, pointing out the absurdity in criminalizing efforts to protect Ambazonians from the catastrophic consequences of a war waged by Paul Biya. Education in Ambazonia faces a dire threat, not only from the insecurity that pervades, but from systematic neglect, further endangering the future of countless children. Despite the ongoing chaos, the resilience of teachers who, despite being owed salaries, endeavor to reach their classrooms, well, you would agree with me that is both inspiring and heart-wrenching. The imposed closures by the Ambazonian government, while a protective measure, underscores the unbearable cost of the conflict, effectively shuttering the doors to education and with hope for countless youths. Adding to the turmoil, the nation of Ambazonia witnessed frightening security breaches, including a large armed incursion in Akwara local government area by militias and brutal assaults by terrorist forces in Jakiri town and Notiti villages. Such events only amplify the urgency for a ceasefire as a genuine pursuit of negotiated settlement that seems ever so elusive. As mortuaries become distressingly active, the indivisible human cost of the conflict becomes increasingly apparent, drawing attention to families like Che Louise, who represents the countless others enduring unimaginable grief. Amidst this, the resilience and undaunted spirit of the Ambazonian people, as highlighted in our reports, rekindle a beacon of hope. A reminder that even in the darkest times, the fight for justice and liberty forges on, uniting hearts and minds towards a future where peace might once again flourish. The ongoing conflict, which has stretched for over 7 years, has ignited a formidable spirit among the youth of Ambazonia, fueled by their determination and with the support of the Ambazonian government and the Ambazonian State Army. Now possesses capabilities that rival those of La République du Cameroon, including the deployment of improvised explosive devices, the IED. Several counties, including Bui, Ngokentuja, Maizan, Ndian, and Dongan Manchun, have demonstrated exceptional enthusiasm and vigor. This formidable display of resilience has led to La République du Cameroon being compelled to steer clear of these areas, deterred by the prospect of being neutralized by the ASA. We must say that it is incumbent upon us to extend our accolades to figures such as Major General Wonyo, who has been instrumental in prioritizing the welfare of Ambazonians, particularly in Bui County. Also, General Chokandu's leadership prowess in an inspiration to us all. By training the ASA of Bui in an exemplary manner, he has played a pivotal role in securing victories for Ambazonians in all dimensions. Now we have videos in this regard. Now let's watch video segment showcasing General Wonyo's achievements.
Why today, number 4th month, 2024. Why General Wonyo and the sport life. Una go here and una go see am. Una go here makaka. Una go see am today. Say General Wonyo day. I all think the day fine. Una don't hear, una don't see am. Una go see yam makaka for back. Motu don't stand as yam. Yeah, una go yam makaka.
No be child's play. As una fit see am, no be child's play. We are not boom boom. Kibune, no be child's play. Una go hear bad. Una go hear bad. Bumbu, bumbu for tilapia. General on your life. General on your life. Let me down. Bumbu, bumbu. No be child's play.
The 26th of March 2024. New General took and his post live.
Maduroti, always there. Thank you, because I saw you. Marriage, we don't already salute. Dr. Mark at Pugon. These are people in the presidency who are surrounding me. Dr. Mark is up. I did not see her name. I was scrolling to find out. I know you there, even if you were busy, you were there. Marie, I know you told me you'll be in the air somehow by now. George, Pon. Today na weekend, I know say you dey house. Where are you? George, I want to hear you because you're in charge of my security now. Let me know whether I should go or I should continue. Okay. Yes. And Reverend Victor, when your name was just the next one, I just saw you appear. Thank you. Thank you. These are people surrounding me very strongly. From I am always there, very, very supportive, very, very on time. We finish the other meeting. I hope you are also in this one.
I just sent him a message.
Okay. Rob Table, my own executive assistant. So tireless. Thank you for being there again. That's why I said again. Mami Rechi, my blue and white. Where are you?
Yeah, I just got out of work, but sorry, I just got off work.
Okay. Now, I don't think I've left anybody out so that I will not fall into trouble. But I want to say that very, very important, very significant in this revolution. There is the head, there is the heart, and there is the hand. Three important parts. But I think that the Atlantic zone is the head, the Midland zone is the heart, and the Savannah is the hand that is moving. To take away any one of these, we'll be paralyzed. We will not function. So, and the heart is the center.
This week on Ambazonia. We need to end it this week, Ambazonia here. And for our amazing panelists who were supposed to react to the happenings on the home front, we do hope to have you next week. But for now, we all need to join the Zoom with the president because we'll be ending the stream here on Facebook. But of course, the Zoom link would certainly be open on ABC platform. So do well to join. For our amazing panelists, it's been wonderful dissecting these topics of interest, Ambazonia this week with you. But with this, we've come to a close as we all go to join in the Zoom with our President Sacco. All right, so as you can see, the president is up, and it's not just our officials up, and this is our cue to end Ambazonia this week here, because we'll be joining in the president on the Zoom, and we'll be ending the stream here on Facebook and on YouTube, but then the link to the Zoom would be on all ABC platforms. So do well to join in. It's been an amazing ride tonight with our amazing panelists for tonight dissecting these topics, but then we'll all be scurrying over to the Zoom link with the president to join in on the presidential tour for today with Momo County. So do well to join in. It's been amazing from my end. I'll say good night to you. Join in.
Us alive. What makes the enemy think we are alive, we are still alive, is because as far as our strength is concerned, they don't see that we have lost it. They don't see that we have lost in the area of our strength. The head is still there, the heart is still there, and the hand is still there.